So in this section of the video, we're going to look at the basic principles of Aikido techniques, so that when you train Aikido techniques, oftentimes you will some general directions, some same principles in all techniques. And when you know those underlying principles, you can actually tap in and learn more easily, understand the techniques themselves. So that, for example, if we start with the katatedori, the same hand stance, first of all, notice here that in many Aikido techniques, when you start, we will be in an equal, what I call an equal stance. In front of me, I'm standing in front of him. It's just that there's one benefit he has my hand, he grabs me. Most of the times it won't be just a grab, and you should see that coming. If somebody grabs you, he's either going to pull, push, or more likely than not, he'll use this as a reference point for a punch, a kick, pulling for the next step. So that's where the understanding of what's called the central line comes in, which is very important in Aikido. This is center of attack. So this is the line of the attack. This is the line of the attack, meaning it's very easy for him to punch me, kick me, to do something to me. So this is not a place where I want to stand. And most of the Aikido techniques will start with going out of this spot. So it can be either going here to the side, changing the legs going to the side. It can also be entering in front, but normally I just won't stand where I am. So as soon as he grabs, I do something, I move out. So moving out of the spot, that's the first point. Now the second one, most of the techniques will have bringing out of balance, what's called kuzushi. So for example, if I step to the side here, I won't just be standing here. The way I say it to my students, here he doesn't have anything to do, he's not occupied, he's bored, so he will punch me, kick me, he will do something. So I want to occupy him. So I move out of the attack line, I become safer, but then I occupy him by taking his balance. And I'm not doing it to the complete end, I'm doing it just enough so that he would be dependent on me, that he wouldn't be able to move unless I release him. So you can do it here. You can also do it with the other arm. And so that's what makes. For example, if he's punching me, I step out of the attack line. So that's what we already discussed. And it's not just that I grab his hand, but actually I grab his hand and slightly bring him out of balance. So here he's occupied. Or for example, yokomanuchi, here I step out and I bring him out of balance. Also, gyakutedori, I step out of the center line and bring him out of balance. So this principle you will see oftentimes, and it's something you should be aware. When you start training, most of the times you won't do that. You will just, it's happening and there's more danger. So I want to bring him out of balance. Another principle that could actually happen instead is me taking his center line. So for example, it's already have to be very cautious about stepping to this side where there's the attacking arm. So for example, if I step to this side where his other hand is, I'm actually coming closer to his attack. If I step to the other side, now I'm becoming farther away, becoming safer. But it is possible to step in. But if I would just step in, it would be just too dangerous. As I step in, I need to take his center line. So as I step in, for example, I could strike towards his head, or I could punch towards here, or I could either also take his center line through the arm. But nevertheless, I need to, again, bring him out of balance. It's just that the other examples were more receptive. I've more received his energy. Rather here, it's more active. Here I go straight towards him. But again, it's bringing out of balance, just a bit of a type. And we can see it in different beginnings of technique too. For example, yokomanuchi. The first one we showed was a receptive one. I take his balance, I bring him out here. And rather there's also an active. When he strikes, I come in, I take his center line. Now again, he's busy, and from here, he's out of balance. From here, I can continue to move on. Also the same is in kata dori menuchi, he's holding me. Here I'm not going out of the attack line, but because I am taking his center line. Now when he's busy here, he won't be able to attack me. And also shomenuchi, I can receive, I can be receptive, bring him out of balance here, and also I can be direct here, taking his center line. But as you see, pretty much all beginnings of technique will have that. So do search for them. Also, two more principles we will mention about entering, or the beginning of our footwork. Most of the Aikido techniques will have entering, the rimi. For example, he's holding me katata dori, and I'm doing a technique called kaitanage. Here, I take his center line and I bring him out of balance at the same time, and then I enter next to him. Now, why it's good to be here? Because at this position, it's hard for him to reach me. It's hard for him to punch me. So here, I'm actually quite safe. Notice, by the way, again, I'm taking his center line here. But then this spot for me is safer. It's hard for him to reach me, and it's easy for me to reach him. So if I continue, I'm actually close to him. And actually, this principle you do develop from the very beginning with what's called taina henko. So the very basic movement, which is sometimes hard to understand why you do it. But here, as I do this movement, I come out to this safe spot where I can reach him and he can't reach me. So many techniques, Aikido techniques, will consist of that with a few exceptions. So for example, if there's a tsuki, if there's a punch, I could enter directly, but it's fairly dangerous. I can enter, again, to the side here where I'm safe, but at the same time there's an option to step back. It's just I don't step back completely just straight forward because I'm still in the attack line. I want to go out of the attack line, but I step diagonal here. Now it's harder for me to reach him, but I still have his hand. But the problem here is that he can still punch me, kick me. I'm in a dangerous zone, but nevertheless I can also grab him, take him out of balance, and continue on with the technique. That's still possible. So to summarize it up, the main principles is going out of the attack line, bringing him out of balance, taking his center, potentially taking the center line, also going into a safe zone where I'm safe, and the bringing out of balance continues. And also the last point actually will include is that many Aikido techniques are actually using what I call giving space. So as you know, the famous way to introduce Aikido is not using your force, but using the partner's energy against him, quote unquote. So that's the way you can actually do that. So in many techniques, for example, Ikkyo, if I'm here, if I try to push him down now, if I try to bring him there or towards myself, I will need to use force. But if I move out, if I give him the space where I was, actually both energetically, physically, and psychologically, it's much easier and more attractive for him to move in here. So if I give him space, he will be much more inclined to follow me, to go there. And same applies in many techniques. For example, shomenuchi, iriminage, most of the times, most people will try to pull the person towards myself, towards themselves. But if I give him space, if I move out and then I cut, it's much easier for him to go in. Same with tsuki, for example. I'm not trying to pull him towards me, but I move out, I bring him into where I was. Also, if you do koregaeshi, I'm not pushing him towards myself or towards him, I'm giving him the space here. It's a lot about giving space, which makes Aikido life much easier.